If you've ever been drawn to stories where love bends, trust breaks, and ordinary lives unravel in unexpected ways, I hope you'll stay with me through this one. I never imagined I'd be the kind of person telling a story like this, but here I am, living proof that a single decision can rewrite everything you thought you knew about yourself. I didn't lose my marriage slowly. There was no long decline, no dramatic build-up over years. I shattered 12 years of shared life in less than the time it takes water to boil. 10 minutes. One moment of weakness. One choice I knew better than to make. And the most painful part is that I was fully conscious while it happened, like I was watching my own hands knock over something precious and deciding not to stop them. Mark and I had been together since our mid-20s. We grew up alongside each other in the quiet way couples do when they're busy raising kids and paying bills. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real. We had habits that belonged only to us. Early mornings sitting at the kitchen counter, mugs warming our hands before the house woke up. Friday nights when we ordered food instead of cooking. The looks we exchanged when one of our kids said something unexpectedly wise or completely absurd. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. For a long time I thought that was enough. Somewhere along the way, gratitude turned into routine. And routine quietly became restlessness. I didn't notice the shift right away. It crept in between school pickups, work deadlines, and folding laundry at midnight. I still loved my husband, but I stopped feeling like myself. The trip that changed everything was supposed to be simple. A 3-day work conference in another city. I packed efficiently, even tossing in one of Mark's old t-shirts because it smelled like him and made hotel rooms feel less foreign. I kissed my kids goodbye and apologized to Mark for leaving him to handle everything alone. He smiled and told me we'd survive a few days apart. What I didn't say out loud was how light I felt walking through the airport. Under the guilt sat relief. Silence. No one needed me for a few days. The hotel was elegant in a way my life no longer was. Soft lights, clean lines, quiet music. Glasses of wine offered like small rewards for simply existing. I remembered a version of myself I hadn't seen in years. The woman who laughed easily, who felt interesting, who wasn't always needed by someone else. At the welcome gathering, my supervisor insisted I mingle instead of hiding in my room. That's where I met Daniel. He was different from Mark in every obvious way. Where my husband was gentle and familiar, Daniel was sharp and self-assured. He spoke with ease, asked questions, and waited for the answers. I felt seen in a way I hadn't realized I'd been missing. We talked about books, places we dreamed of traveling to, music we both loved years ago. He laughed, and something in me loosened. When the evening ended, we walked toward the elevators together. Our hands brushed as we reached for the buttons. Noticed. I didn't pull away. That night I barely slept. Nothing had happened, not really. No touching, no promises. But something inside me had already crossed a line. I felt it, heavy and undeniable. The next day felt orchestrated, like the universe was nudging us closer. We ended up in the same sessions, took notes side by side, shared coffee between lectures. I knew every rule I was breaking, even before anything physical happened. I could have changed seats. I could have excused myself. I didn't. That evening we went to dinner together. Just the two of us. Over plates of food we barely touched. He talked about his recent divorce. About how invisible he'd felt in his marriage. How loneliness can exist even when you're not alone. I should have drawn a line. I should have said my husband's name out loud. Anchored myself to reality. Instead I nodded and said I understood. In the elevator afterward, he leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't rushed or desperate. It was soft, almost tender, and that scared me more than anything else could have. I didn't stop him. Kissed him back. I wish I could tell you I walked away then. I wish I could say I remembered my vows, my children's faces, the life waiting for me at home. I didn't. We went to his room. 10 minutes. That's how long it took to undo years of trust. 10 minutes erased late-night conversations, shared dreams, quiet forgiveness, and the kind of love that grows in the background of a life well lived. When I came home, Mark greeted me with the same tired smile he always wore after solo parenting. He hugged me, kissed my cheek, and asked about my trip. I nearly collapsed right there in the entryway, not just from guilt, but from the crushing understanding of what I had risked for nothing. For 2 weeks, I lived like a ghost pretending to be a wife. I cooked his favorite meals, suggested movie nights, reached for him in bed. I told myself that if I worked hard enough, I could bury what I'd done. He noticed the change and asked if I was okay. Said yes. I wasn't. Guilt doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers. It shows up when your child hands you a crayon drawing of your family. When your husband absent-mindedly squeezes your shoulder as he passes by. When he tells you he's proud of you. Each moment felt like another reminder of the person I'd failed to be. The truth came out because I was careless. A message lit up my phone while it was on the kitchen counter. Daniel's name. A few simple words that said more than enough. Mark didn't yell. He didn't cry. He handed me the phone and asked very calmly if I wanted to explain. I told him everything. I didn't soften it or excuse it. I owed him the full truth, even if it ended us. He listened without interrupting, his hands trembling slightly, his face unreadable. When I finished, he asked one question that still echoes in my mind. Do you love him? I didn't. But I hesitated. That pause did more damage than any answer could have. He stood up, walked into our bedroom and closed the door. I slept on the couch that night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment that led us there. By morning his bag was packed. He said he needed time away, that he didn't know how to look at me without seeing betrayal. The kids asked why Dad was staying with their grandmother. I told them he just needed a little break. A week later he filed for separation. Begged. Cried. I wrote pages of apologies that never felt like enough. We tried counseling. We tried sitting across from each other at dinner like strangers hoping for familiarity. Every attempt came back to the same question, one I still can't fully answer. Why? Why did I risk everything for someone I didn't even love? Why did I trade a life built on years of shared history for 10 reckless minutes? Some days I think I just wanted to feel alive again. Some days I think I was selfish and careless with something sacred. And some days I accept that I may never completely understand myself. It's been 7 months now. The divorce isn't final. Mark sees the kids on weekends. He's polite, distant, careful. I still live in the same house, but it feels hollow. The mornings are too quiet. The coffee tastes wrong. Every room holds a memory that now feels fragile. People like to say one mistake doesn't define you. I used to believe that. But this one did. Because in a matter of minutes, I became the villain in my own story. And forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, feels farther away than ever.